For centuries, whispers of a monstrous entity have echoed across the oceans. A creature so colossal it could drag ships into the abyss. A beast of chaos, lurking beneath the waves, feared by sailors, worshipped by the superstitious, and immortalized in ancient texts. They called it the Leviathan. But what if I told you the Leviathan was never real? That everything we know about this so-called sea monster is nothing more than myth, misunderstanding, and a perfect storm of fear and imagination. From biblical scriptures to exaggerated sailors' tales, the Leviathan has haunted human imagination for thousands of years. Described as a serpent of chaos, a demon of the deep, a monstrous entity no one could escape. But let's break it down. Let's separate fact from fiction, legend from reality, and uncover the real story behind the Leviathan. The origins of the Leviathan trace back to some of the oldest written texts in human history. The Hebrew Bible describes the Leviathan as a fearsome sea creature created by God, an embodiment of primordial chaos, destined to be destroyed at the end of times. Psalm 74 speaks of God crushing the heads of Leviathan, while the Book of Job portrays it as an unstoppable beast with impenetrable scales, fire-breathing capabilities, and eyes that glow like dawn. But it doesn't end there. The Leviathan's legend extends beyond religious texts. Ancient Mesopotamian myths tell of Tiamat, a massive sea serpent representing chaos, defeated by the storm god Marduk. In Canaanite mythology, a monstrous sea creature called Lotan was slain by Baal. These stories follow a common pattern, an all-powerful force defeating a sea monster representing disorder and destruction. The Leviathan, it seems, was a product of a much older storytelling tradition. But what about the accounts from sailors? Legends of sea monsters weren't just confined to religious texts. Explorers and mariners have long told tales of enormous beasts emerging from the depths, capable of crushing ships with their sheer size. Could they have seen the Leviathan? Or were they simply misinterpreting what they encountered? Science provides us with a more rational explanation. The ocean is home to creatures that, to an untrained eye, could easily appear monstrous. The giant squid, for instance, with its enormous tentacles and elusive nature, was considered a sea monster for centuries. The sperm whale, one of the largest creatures on Earth, can breach the surface dramatically, creating a sight that might terrify an early sailor. Even rogue waves, underwater volcanic activity, and mirages could have contributed to these terrifying stories. So, where is the physical proof of the Leviathan? Where are the fossils, the skeletons, the remains of this supposed ancient beast? Despite centuries of exploration and scientific advancements, there has never been a single piece of verifiable evidence supporting the existence of such a creature. No biological remnants, no credible sightings, no DNA samples. What we do have, however, are countless examples of how myths evolve. Over time, stories are exaggerated, retold, and reshaped. A large sea creature becomes a monstrous serpent. A natural oceanic event turns into an encounter with a demon. Fear and the unknown fuel these tales, transforming reality into legend. Yet, despite all scientific evidence against it, the Leviathan remains deeply embedded in our culture. It appears in literature, movies, video games, and conspiracy theories. The idea of a massive hidden sea monster continues to capture the imagination. But why? Perhaps it's because, deep down, we still fear the unknown. The ocean, covering more than 70% of our planet, remains vastly unexplored. If there's one place where a myth could hide, it's beneath those dark, endless waves. But does that mean the Leviathan is real? No fossils, no real encounters, just myths passed down and distorted over time. The Leviathan isn't lurking in the deep. It's hiding in the pages of history. But myths never die, and neither do our fears of the unknown.